Okay, so here we go. First go at using Cquartz UK ceramic coat. This is the before, so as you can see there's some really light swell marks in the paint, really noticeable under fluorescent light. Not really noticeable out in the daylight, so just wanted to try and get rid of them and then put a ceramic coat over the top. And as you can see, the car's pretty good condition, like as in paintwork looks pretty good. It's just when you get close up there's some light marks, so we'll get into the process. So I've started off with Carpro Reset to give the car a wash before clay barring it. So a quick wash. I really like this product. I hadn't used it before. It nearly is like a slimy sort of feel, like it really is. It is quite nice of a product. I'll stick with that one, I think. So next we get into the clay bar and purify, which is the lubricant for the clay bar. So we don't need too much of this, just a small sort of chunk of it. I have done some paint work over the past, but this is the first time with a random orbital buffer. I have done little bits with a normal rotary buffer, but this is the first go with this entire process, and so I'm learning some stuff and finding out some good ways to do new things. So getting the clay bar out and then flattening it out, so it's sort of like a nice flat section that'll fit in your hand. And then plenty of lubricant, and then just give it a bit of a scrub. Sometimes you'll feel like a little bit of a rough texture, or every now and then like a little, like you'll feel the clay rub up against something and it's just taking the contamination off the surface. Fortunate in this car it was done a little while ago, so there really wasn't a whole lot there. And then off we go. Just giving it a rinse in between just to get all the gunk off. And then a good wash just to get everything off before getting ready to get to buffing. And a dry just to get any of the stuff off. So this is a new buffer that I'll be using. So it was a 8mm orbital buffer. I think I've got a video on it, unpacking it and see what it's like. So I've got some microfiber cloths and some fresh pads, brushes, and I'm going to use Carpro Essence, which is like a bit of a light cut but a high polish. And and hopefully that'll do the job of getting those light scratches out. So just need a few little drops of product. Normally I'd only use around 4, but I sort of went a couple more just because it's a brand new, it's a brand new pad. Just for the first go. So small sections, dab the pad on the panel. Put the buffer on the lower speed, and just sort of work the product in a little bit. Just get it spread out. So I turned the buffer up, I believe, around 4 to 5, and then we'll just go working nice and slow in both directions. So first going across phase, and then going downwards. A lot of people recommend going 2 across and so 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, so that it's one complete path. These buffers are really good, they're really gentle. They're difficult to burn or mark the paint with these. And the only issue is they require a bit more working time and a bit slower than using just a regular regular rotary buffer that just spins around in a circle that doesn't have the orbital rotation. Just give the surface a light clean, get all the residue off. And off we go. Now use a torch to see how I'm going, and just to give it a real good check over the paint, get some light off of it, and just to see if there's any areas that need to be going over, and how it's working, and how the progress is going. So there are still some, every now and then there's a few little fine scratches, but as you can see the shine is amazing with this product. It really is a good product for that. So off we go back at it. the proper process would be to use for swirl marks would be to use a heavy cut, medium cut, and then a light cut. But I was going for just a one stage of just using one product and hoping that I could get enough scratches out that I would be satisfied, and then put the ceramic coat on. It is a fairly easy process to do, but it is also very time consuming. And yeah, I advise giving yourself at least a couple of days to buff the car and to put a ceramic coat, if not a third day. So that night, after I've completed that, I did have a good look over it, and in the rear quarter I noticed there was still quite a few scratches. Shine was amazing, but the swirl marks were still there, as you can see over the light. So I decided to switch to some menzerna medium cut. I just realised I wasn't getting deep enough into that paint, and I wasn't getting those scratches out. So menzerna 2400 is the medium cut of their product. So there's 424 and I think it's 3500 is the final cut. But with their medium cut, you can use that as a cutting, and also it can be left as your final stage. So you can just use that one product to do both, but it will maybe not have as much clarity and shine as doing a final cut. But after spending half the day buffing the car, I didn't really want to go and do another two more products over it. So just going to try this 2400 and see how we go and see what the results are like, if we're happy to stick with that. It's the same product, same process. We'll move the product around, get it all over the area that you're working with, and then I'm going to go nice and slow with this one. The same again, 2 across and then 2 vertical. It was a bit frustrating having to do it all again once I finally got around the whole car, but I suppose you always learn, don't you? So working the product nice and slow here. So I've done my one horizontal pass and now my vertical pass, sort of overlapping the previous pass by sort of half. So putting the center of the buffer straight up the line that's left between where I have been and haven't been. So another one across, my second one horizontally. and then the second one vertically. Use the brush to just get all the stuff out of all the excess out of the pad, so it's clean for your next go. So every time you take the buffer off, give it a quick brush on the pad, make sure it's good for your next go. Give it a good wipe down with a nice clean microfiber towel, a nice soft one. Let's go check out the results. So again, really nice shine, a lot of metallic. It looked like a definite reduction in scratches. There's still a couple little ones here and there, but really 90% would be gone. I can really barely see any, if any, looking at this. The shine's good, so yeah, really could have used this product just to start off with. Using this product and then going back over with the Essence would have been amazing results as well. Probably even better than I got. But I was quite happy with what I got with just using the 2400, so the Menzerna 2400. So off we go. I was changing to a new buffing pad every sort of around three panels, somewhere around there. Just put a fresh one on. Then really giving it a good check with the torch, making sure I'm happy with the results before continuing and moving on. Real good check over under lights. And this was the section I had those scratches before, and they're greatly reduced now. So next we use Carpro Reset. So this is a product that cleans any leftover buffing compound, any oils, any greases, anything that's on the paint surface, to give it a really good clean before you go ahead and ceramic coat. So spray plenty on, and then using a microfiber cloth, sort of wipe it off. Again, trying to use a microfiber cloth that's sort of got a bit of softness to it, like as in a bit of on the fluffier side, so it sort of absorbs and grabs everything off the surface. And then give the towel a bit of a flip and get a nice clean area of it, and give it another wipe down. So yeah, continually flipping and making sure you've got a nice fresh clean towel to work with to get everything off. Now I did go ahead and do this twice, went all the way around, and then did it all again replacing the towels quite often. As soon as they sort of seemed a bit wet or had very dirty, I sort of gave them a flick and got a fresh one. Yeah, good quick check. As you can see, there is a scratch there, a little mark there that I didn't get out, but I wasn't going to continue going any deeper in the paint, as you're never really going to get every single one out unless it's a show cast. So here's the Cquartz. So Cquartz UK, it comes with Reload in the packet. Comes with some applicator pads. I found that there was 5 applicator pads. It says to replace the pads these are those pads, the suede pads. It says to replace them every 2 panels or so. That to do 2 coats, that's not going to be enough. So I actually had to order more. I made sure I had more for this. In the instructions, it will tell you there to use the pads, the suede pads, and dispose of them after about 2 panels. And these were what came in the kit when I purchased the whole lot. So these are some microfiber towels. Now the ones that you want to use again, you want them to be soft, but you don't want them fluffy or furry. These ones here have like a loop fiber, so because it's a product that can have a little bit of stick to it, you don't want ones that are going to leave any sort of fur behind. Yeah, it does look scary using a product like this, but it was surprisingly easy to use. It does say to make sure you give the bottle a good shake. And that's the product, Cquartz UK. So chuck on some gloves. Have everything ready to go. When I was using a fresh pad, I made sure I went sort of down and back up. Don't need as much when you're putting more on that white suede pad for the second time, once you've done one lot of it. So you want to put the product going like buffing, going one way and then the other way. And that's how the directions tell you to do it. So I had already done a small patch, so I'm sort of a little bit more familiar with this product. But with the temperature it was at night time, so the temperature was a little bit lower. It was around 30 seconds to a minute, so I had some time to do a next patch whilst waiting for that first patch to dry off. And what it'll do when it does dry off, it'll have like a rainbow sort of effect. It'll have like a multicolored sort of swirl which means the product is ready to be taken off. I was finding that if I went past that, it still came off quite easily. It was very user-friendly, this product. Yeah, so I decided to do 2 coats. It recommends to do 2. You can do 1 and you can do 3, but it recommends that 2 is good. And make sure you got plenty of those microfiber cloths as well. Because once you do use them a few times, they will start getting some of the product on them. And then if that product does start to harden a little bit, it will start scratching. So you want to use decent microfiber cloths and be prepared to throw them away as well, because they won't be reusable again on any sort of paint or soft surface. I did reuse mine later on after a few days once it dried, use them for oil and things like that, just to get dirty and then throw out. So I did take it out of there and use my finger just to put on that pad and just work it into spots that I can't get using the block. And working around labels, etc. Badges. So with wiping off, it's pretty straightforward. I was using one to wipe off the majority and the second one to wipe off the last bit of it and to just give it the final once over. And I was working with these cloths, so I'd fold them the way they are, and then I'd use 1/4 and use that a few times, then flip to the other quarter and then folding the towel the other way and using another quarter. Just sort of working the towel to make sure I get as much use out of the towel before having to chuck it out. It's pretty straightforward. You just want to make sure you don't leave any build up behind or any high spots, and you just want to make sure you get all that off and just leave a nice film on there. And with taping, I did tape up the headlights and some of the trim, just to save me having to try and work around it and not having to be so delicate when applying the Cquartz, and also with the buffing, just taped up the trim at the top of the doors and over the windows. And then off we go. So around the door handles, I was using take the little cloth off the block and then working it around them. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. And with the bottles, it does, the bottle of Cquartz, I got 30 mils. I did run out on the first night using 30 mils, so I'd advise for a larger car like what I've got that 30 mils isn't quite enough. Maybe if I was a little bit more sparing on it from the beginning, I might have got through it all, but I didn't. I had to finish the second coat the next day. So it does say that you can do a second coat around an hour, and if you do go longer than an hour, then to do the second coat the next day. But if you do leave it longer than that, then I was advised that you wouldn't be able to put a second coat on because it would not want to stick to the first coat. So either do it that night, the second coat, like I said, in the hour, or do the second coat the next day, which trying to do the whole car in one night, 2 coats, would be difficult. So these were the results. I was pretty happy with it. I might have got a tiny bit more shine if I went with the Essence as well as a finishing. There's little to no scratches on there. The Menzerna for 2400 really is a beautiful product. So now the last step, which was Carpro Reload, which is the product you put over the top of your ceramic coat to give it a little bit more water resistance and a bit more shine again. So this time with the microfiber, you can use ones that have a bit more fluff to them. Nice, soft, fluffy towels. Yeah, this product's great. It'll go over everything. It'll go over your headlights, it'll go over your badges, it'll go over glass, it'll go over all the rubber, any plastic trim, it'll go over everything, and it'll give it a bit more darkness to it. It's not a cleaner, but it will give it some water repellent properties. So with this, I sort of spray some on, again using two cloths, 2 towels. So spray the product on, work it around and in, leaving a little bit of excess still on the paint. And then with another clean towel, we'll just wipe off any excess. And just putting this product on, you can notice it just goes that shade darker with a bit more shine. So I use this on my wheels, on the trim around the window, absolutely everything. Now, one that was all done, finished results. So the whole car's been done in Reload. And as you can see, it's crystal clear. You can see all the reflections of the garage and the shed. That dot is just a piece of fluff that's landed on there. Beautiful metallic. And you can see that it just feels like there's a little, like an extra coat of clear on it when you look at it. It's just got this nicer feel and look to it. And it's like a mirror now. So I'm really happy with the results. Couldn't really turn out much better. Maybe in hindsight doing all 3 buffing compounds would have been good, but really it really worked out nice and came up good. Lots of gloss. No scratches are gone.